Welcome back to another week of The Rebel's Edge. Pete and I are going to be bringing you the 411 on what's going on in Tesla and what went on last week in Tesla, because that's one of the important things that you need to know, folks. There's always something being foretold within the options markets. And when it's one of the biggest stocks in the world, well, we pay attention, and we'll bring you the 411 on that on today's Rebel's Edge. Bang.
Listen, we're not joking.
Watch this, folks. Watch this.
Holy smokes. I got a shot.
70.
He just kicked a
70. That's a real number. Remember how many years ago it was 63 yards, by a guy with half a foot, as I recall. So
Tom Dempsey.
Yep, Tom Dempsey. But now these guys, you get over 60, they can still hit it. And that one was 70. It's a record. That's unbelievable.
I'd encourage people to watch the new NFL kickoff style, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it is what it is, so that they do it. But just watch how casual the kicker is up there, Pete, because the kicker just kind of meanders over to it and then freaking drills it freaking the length of the field. Yeah. I mean, these guys, without trying to hit it, now granted, you've got to get it up a little bit quicker when you don't have, or when you've got the line jumping up in front of you to try to block it and so forth. Yep. And by the way, Pete, I know we'll get to the financial part of this in a sec, but did you see the Indianapolis Colts game? So I don't know. I mean, at the end of the game, folks, Indy had a game-winning attempt, okay? They jumped up, the other team did, and one of them came down on, I don't even know if it was the long snapper, Pete, or if it was the guard next to him, but you can't get leverage that way.
Right.
So he went up in the air, and then he tumbled after he landed on this guy. He tumbled off of him, and they threw the flag, and they said, leverage, defense, 5-yard penalty, re-kick. It was the last play of the game.
Yeah.
So then the 5-yard penalty, re-kick, boom, right through the upright.
Drilled it.
And the other team lost the game. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some good football, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of good football out there. Well, welcome, folks. Again, I'll give you the We are back. That is Pete Najarian. He was out. Now, how much TV did you do out in California for the Cal Gophers game, Pete?
I did a little bit, John, but it was mostly radio. It was a lot of fun. I got my heart with the Golden Bears, but I played with the Golden Gophers, and I was, both sides. I was on the one side of the field for the first half and the other side of the field for the second half. So it was great. But, yeah, I'll tell you what, for people who've never been to Cal Berkeley and be in that stadium and see their student section and all the rest of that, they are really missing out on something special. They need more people in the rest of the stadium, though. But they that is a special place to be. And the only thing I would ever say about the problems with the ACC, but also back when the Pac-12 was still around, is you don't play a night game at 7:30 on the West Coast. You lose the entire East Coast, and some idiot seems to want to keep doing that, John. They've been doing it for years. They don't get the same viewing because those games that are night games, they ought to be at 4:30 in the afternoon. 7:30 kick on the East Coast, and you play some football where people might watch. But they didn't. That's not how they did it. So anyway, it got cold by the end of the game because it was 10:30 at night.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 7:30 kickoff in Cal, folks, in Berkeley. And so that means that the game starts at 10:30 on the East Coast. What?
What more?
All right. Well, we might as well talk about something other than sports for a little bit, Pete. I'm going to kick it off with futures.
Yep.
With macro. And I'm going to say, you know what? The Fed is going to cut rates this week, and I'll also hit this in futures. They're going to cut rates this week, but also Jerome Powell, when he's asked questions, I guarantee, Pete, at least one question will be, should you suspend Lisa Cook, the Fed governor, who seemingly has committed fraud with 3 different mortgages? Something's got to be done here. That's the one, in case you're not familiar, folks, that President Trump has been saying she's fired. She should be fired, or she should be suspended until they do an investigation. But that's my macro, Pete.
Yeah, I agree with you on the macro, particularly talking about the Fed, what they're going to do, the quarter point that we all expect. And there's still some out there that throw in a 50-50, but I'm not sure that's really going to happen. First cut, John, in 9 months. That says a lot. And should they have done it? Well, they've been slow. They've been dragging their feet. And yes, they probably should have done it long ago. But this one looks like a slam dunk right now, John. So we'll see how the markets react. We've already seen enough reaction already, but I think when you actually see it happen, we'll see even a little bit more activity in terms of the markets themselves when they get that quarter point cut.
All right. And I'm right with you. I think we get a quarter point cut. So 10 years, my fantastic futures, folks. And quarter point cut, a 50 basis point cut at this point without telegraphing it at all would probably be, at least initially, scary, Pete, that they really waited way too long. Yes, they did wait too long. But I think that would just be an admission of that. And I think they will try to avoid that at all costs, even if that means 3 rate cuts in a row.
Yeah. Well, my fantastic future is gold. And it has, I just look at it, John, and I look at the year to date, it's up 42%. In the last month, it's gone from 3,300 to 3,705 today. Maybe it's gone even higher now since we got on. So some new highs there. And you know what? We're seeing a little bit of activity with the volatility. Not a lot. We've been in this tight range. I think we stay in that range until we actually get the Fed, the actual decision making that actually happens, and the interview that follows it, to your point. But 15 and a quarter or so, 15 somewhere in there for the volatility index. Is that high? No. It makes some sense of where we are right now. We've had some pretty substantial moves, John, both up and some movement down, whether it's the Dow one day or the NASDAQ the next day or whatever it is. We're seeing some decent moves, but up here at these new highs, these moves aren't quite the same percentage-wise as they were when they had the 300 and 400 and 500 point moves when it was extremely lower than it is right now. So a lot going on, and I think that volatility index is dead on right now at about a 15 and a quarter.
Well, let's dive in, Pete, to Mr. Musk.
Yeah.
Because Elon Musk apparently didn't like not being the richest man in the world for a few days because, and take a look at this, folks, several things. Number one, we had unusual activity. If you look at that chart right there where where it comes to an X right there, that's when we had unusual activity. Stock was 360. Well, we had it when it was 340 as well a few days earlier. But then when it was 360, they came in, Pete, and to quote James Tiberius Kirk, they drained all phasers. I mean, they did. They sat there, they drained everything. They were buying every call they could get. Now, we don't know, was that Mr. Musk buying those calls? Maybe, because take a look at this, folks. This is a view of all of the purchases that were made in the form that he had to file. And so all of those calls that they were buying, wow. Not calls, I'm sorry, all the stock that Musk was buying. And Pete, he's buying 10,000 shares, 20,000 shares, 20,000 shares. I mean, it's just September 11th and 12th, just bang, 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 like that. He ended up buying 2.57 million shares. That's obviously a big number, over $1 billion at an average price of $371 to $397 a share. And what did it do? Oh, it drove the stock well over 400. And so all the calls that we were citing for our subscribers at 360, bang. Lots of money there.
Yeah. And the stock's about 50 points higher right now, John, than it was when he was getting some of those buys at 370 to 395, 397, whatever it is. And how about him potentially being the $1 trillion man? And yes, I said $1 trillion man. I mean, that's something, the performance package that's going to be voted on November 6th, right? That's going to be pretty daggone interesting. So there is a lot going on there. And as you point out, there was a lot of unusual option activity that was there. They got a phenomenal bank. When you look at the balance sheet, John, I mean, there's nothing to really point at anything negative there, other than maybe you'd say, well, the PE is a little bit stretched, or maybe a lot stretched. But that being said, it's stretched for all the right reasons. Look who's buying it.
Right.
I think that says a lot. So 488 is the highs, the highest level. But right now, last I looked, trading around 4.25 or something like that, John. But when you've got cash to debt of about 25 billion and you're doing all the things in the right way that you're seeing coming out of Elon Musk, I would say that you wouldn't want to go against him right now. That's what I would say.
Yeah, if you want to bet against him. I mean, this is a guy, Pete, that absolutely nailed some of the highest levels that the stock traded at because he needed to fund his $44 billion purchase of Twitter.
Yep.
So what did he do? Well, he was selling a fair amount of shares. And guess where he bought them back? Like Pete just said, substantially less than where he sold them, Pete. And he's also paid the biggest tax bill in the history of Wall Street and or the IRS for an individual, the biggest that's ever been paid. Let's move on, Pete, because we could just talk about that forever. But Joby, this is an electric air taxi service, Joby. Shares are trading up because President Trump says, hey, I want to fast track this program for air taxi in the United States. Archer is also doing things like this, Pete. There are various eVTOL, which stands for electric vertical takeoff or landing. There are other companies doing this, but this one is just zooming to the upside, while some of the others are just kind of fluttering, Pete. They have one-day pops, but look at the chart on this particular stock, Pete. I mean, you go back to the beginning of the year and look where Joby was and look at where it is now. This is an interesting play for sure. And obviously, I love what the company has done. But there, Jared just put it up on the screen. Look at that thing, Pete. Going back to 2025 when it was, what is that, $8? And then it popped all the way into the 20s, a triple. And now the president says, I'm fast tracking them. I like the trade.
Yeah, and when you've got the president backing you up a little bit by saying some of the things that he has said, John, and what they really want to do, the commercialization of this whole thing, and the potential to get this thing up and running maybe a little bit quicker, but still be safe, of course, but not as onerous as some of the others are maybe talking about right now. Free cash flow in this one is not a flow, it's a burn. So that's the one negative I would throw out there is they're burning cash at about $300 million a year. So, but that's just something as you're building. I mean, it's like a biotech. You've got to do that spend until you can get all the ducks in a row to start making a lot of money off this. The shorts are about 7%. That's another side of it that could change things. But the Trump White House, they see this thing and they want it to advance. And I think if that's the case, it's going to advance, John. So I wouldn't be fighting against this one either. I think Joby, and there's been some great option activity over time, not necessarily very recent, but over time. So we just kind of wait on some of that, John, for the next time to see what kind of a ride we might be able to get. I like this company for all the reasons of having the president having their back. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, how about this one, Pete? Opendoor Tech. So Open, OPEN, we've had numerous hits of unusual activity. Today it trades over $10. In fact, it traded all the way up to about $10.35, I think, today. Phenomenal. And of course, one that we've had unusual activity in. So when you look at that spike there, and we were seeing unusual activity at 3, folks, and then at 5, and then at 7, and now, goes over 10 today. Pretty amazing. The Friday high was the high so far, 10.50. Sold off, and then it attacked again and went to 10.35. And Pete, the unusual activity in here. Again, folks, if you know what Pete and I know about unusual activity, when people are buying 15,000, that's 1.5 million shares. When they're buying 14,000, 1.4 million shares, 5,200, 520,000 shares. Those are big purchases,
Yes.
even though it's a $7 stock. But were they rewarded? Yep. It went $3 higher than the most recent trade, which was just last week on the 8th of September. Just phenomenal, Pete.
It's up 200% in a month. Need I say more? No, and I will say a little bit more. Yeah, there's been a little bit of a leadership shakeup. You've got a return of the founders. I think people are embracing that, and they like to see that. There's an injection of some capital. It's about $40 million or something like that. The short interest here, John, is also the squeeze play, as we like to say it, as our guy Garbez always likes to talk about. But it's about 25% on the short side of it. So when you start moving in a single day and it starts really starting to move to the upside, Lord knows when that stops, but that is something that absolutely gives these things an extra bit of a rise to the upside, I think. And so the turnaround optimism that we're seeing happening here right now with Opendoor, it's there. And like you said, John, it was pushing all the way up towards that 1050 level, towards those highs. So something I think to keep an eye on. And we certainly, as you pointed out, with all that unusual option activity, it's a good reason for us to turn our head and take a look at that one because of what we were seeing. And we did, and we're going to continue to watch for even more if we see any more of the Opendoor unusual option activity.
Well, let's hit Hain, Pete, as in Hain Celestial. And what rhymes with Hain? Pain.
Pain.
Pain, as Mr. T would say, as he predicted for Rocky. Hain is down, right now it's only down 22%, Pete. It was down 35.
Yeah.
So it's bouncing.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth quarter swung from a profit to a loss, and it pushed their free cash flow to negative, Pete. And we know what they make, teas. Well, when they came out and hit the market years ago, this was a hot stock. It hadn't been hot for a long time, and it trades below $2. Yeah. So sales fell 13% year over year. They missed consensus. I mean, I really can't say anything good about this earnings report, Pete.
Nothing. I'm right there with you. Nothing. I mean, there's not one place I look, John, where you'd say, well, but, and no, that doesn't happen. I mean, the revenue, the sales down 13% year over year. That's pretty awful. They lost 2 cents when they expected to make 3 cents. That's even a worse number right there. I mean, they are having problems, especially, when you think about the natural organic, it ends up, unfortunately, a lot of the time, John, being a little bit more premium pricing, right? Well, we know that people are probably trying to maneuver around and not pay as much when they go to the grocery store, because we talk about that type of thing all the time. But the free cash flow is not a flow, it's a burn. And when you're burning money the way they are right now, John, not so good. They were taking in money pretty good for a while there, 30 plus million bucks, but now all of a sudden you report that you've lost about 8 million. Not so good. So nothing I can find that makes any sense at this point in time. And I will tell you this, a lot of volume. I mean, of course there is, because when people start selling something that goes down 25% or more, there's a lot of sellers out there, huge numbers when you got into the first 90 minutes. I don't even know where it is now, but I'm sure it's significantly larger volume than when I last looked about a half hour ago or so. So a lot going on for Hain, and none of it is good.
Pete, back in 2015, this thing's on a spike high and probably a squeeze like Pete loves to cover. This thing traded up over $70. It's still $1 billion company, Pete, but just barely hanging on to the market. No, I'm sorry. It broke $1 billion a while ago. I was thinking of something else. It's $135 million market cap now. Multiply that by 70, because it went from 70 to $1. Oh my. I mean, they just set customer investments on fire in this one, Pete. And again, just like Pete said, I didn't see one positive thing about this thing, except that maybe, Pete, maybe someday somebody buys it, and I don't know who that greater fool would be. because this, when you're losing money at their pace, this is not a good thing.
No, not at all. I'm with you.
Well, Pete, you were probably getting ready to fly from the West Coast back east when this happened. The Giants had picked up a offensive tackle named Hudson, and this guy had 4 penalties on one drive. And Pete, he was trying to slug guys. He was jumping on top of guys. He's an offensive tackle, mind you. I don't know what he was on, Pete. Of course, I wouldn't know. I'm not in the locker room. I don't know if he's on something or if he's just mentally loose. But Pete, they bang, 15-yard personal foul, bang, 15-yard personal foul, bang, 15-yard personal foul, and then jumps off sides. And Pete, he is literally swinging at the defensive end for Dallas. And Russell Wilson looked as good as I've seen Russell Wilson look in a long time. And yet they had to settle for a field goal in a situation, Pete, where they drove basically all the way down to the 2-yard line. And then this guy backed him up. The only tackle I've seen as bad as that one, and he's just bad, is your offensive tackle. What is his name? Schul or something like that? Your left tackle for the Vikings? Terrible.
Yeah, he got hurt too, I think. Yeah.
A swinging door. I mean, just look out! Look out!
We call that the lookout block.
Oh my God. I don't know how Kevin O'Connell keeps that guy out there, Pete, because he's going to get J.J. McCarthy killed. That's what happens, folks. That's why they call it the blind side, because
almost happened last night, John. That one hit that he took late in the game, and they twisted his head around or whatever, and when he got up, his face mask was turned here this way for JJ. That's not going to cut it. And I think that the offensive line, they were so proud of their offensive line at the beginning of the year, John. They've got a few injuries for sure, but they signed a couple of big players there from the Indianapolis Colts, actually. And you know what? They're not doing their job, and neither is the defense. They couldn't stop anything on the run yesterday. That defense that B-Flow and everybody talks about all the time. I had arguments with guys on Twitter yesterday about it because they say, well, the offense is terrible. Yeah, they are. But how about if you're on defense, you maybe want to tackle the running back once in a while. You don't let him go about 11 yards a carry. So anyway.
I'll say this, Pete, real quick.
Yeah.
The head coach needs to get the damn play in there fast.
Yep.
Because he is not giving McCarthy time. You can see it because, he'll put his hands over his ears so he can hear the shortwave or the walkie-talkie into his helmet, and then they cut it off, as you guys all know, if you watch football enough. But he's not getting the ball he's not getting him out of the huddle, Pete, until 10 seconds, sometimes 9 seconds. In other words, you cannot check down. You can barely get the snap count up and going. If a player is going in motion or changing or whatever, stop overthinking it. Stop overthinking it and give him time. And get rid of that tackle. The left tackle sucks.
Overthinking and not thinking very clearly, and that's a real problem. You're right. All right, let's stay with the NFL, John, a little bit right now. Who are the two best? We're only 2 weeks into the season, and that's why it's fun, because like so many people do, we're going to do the same damn thing. Right now, who are the best 2 teams in all of football? I'll tell you, it's interesting because I think it's 2 teams that already have played each other once, week 1, and I think it's Buffalo and I think it's Baltimore. And here's why. In week 1, Buffalo comes back in the fourth quarter, John. Second half, they scored 28 points. In the fourth quarter, they scored 22 of those points. And they came back. And you know what? It was because of the running, but also mostly the passing of Josh Allen. Well, that completely flipped in week 2. And now all of a sudden, Josh Allen still looked pretty damn good, but the running back actually started carrying the ball. I like to see something like that. The same thing's going on with Baltimore. Now, Baltimore lost against the Buffalo Bills, right? And you say, well, start looking at some of the numbers. You look over at what that running back, Derrick Henry, did, John. He absolutely was a beast. I think he averaged almost 10 a carry in that game. So he's a freak show. But you know what? Lamar didn't really show as much because they were able to run the ball. Week 2, Cleveland Browns, they decided, you know what? We're going to stack it. We're going to make Lamar beat us. Well, that was a mistake because Lamar can beat him. He threw 4 touchdowns in the game, John. Yeah, they stopped Derrick Henry. They didn't stop the passing. And then when you look at what Baltimore did, John, they scored 31 points in the second half, 21 points in the fourth quarter. Those are unheard of numbers. You don't give up that in professional football, and you really don't want to do it much in college football either. But that's exactly what happened. And I'll tell you what, Lamar, he was 19 of 29. He threw for 225 yards, but 4 touchdowns. I'd say that's pretty damn good. And if you want to stop Derrick Henry, great, but you still got to worry about what's going on with Lamar because Lamar can run, he can throw. He's damn accurate. I think he's one of the scariest quarterbacks in all of football, but I think those are my top 2.
I'll have a rare disagreement with Pete.
Sure.
I don't think Buffalo is better than Philadelphia. I think it's Philadelphia and Baltimore. Even though Baltimore lost to the Bills, I get it. And it was a freakish play that let them kick the winning field goal against Baltimore. Did Buffalo deserve to win? You bet they did, because they came back, like Pete said, 22 points in the fourth quarter. But I think, Pete, when I watch Philadelphia, they can beat you so many ways, just like Baltimore can. Whether it's passing or whether it's running, they can beat you. Whether it's quarterback running or the running back running, they can beat you. So, Jalen Hurts, man, he is playing out of his mind, and so is Lamar Jackson. So those are my top 2 picks.
I think that's fair. I'll take it. Yeah. You know what? Although I will say, I watched Josh Allen run with the ball. He's as big as any tight end in the NFL, basically, as he's running. He's athletic as hell. He can hurdle people. I mean, so he's pretty special. But I think that's a very fair argument. I mean, Philadelphia's damn good, and then you're going to the NFC when you go there. All right, NCAA college football, John. We're only a few weeks into this one as well. What if I told you that Notre Dame is 0-2? I think that when you look to see where they were ranked, and I'm going to be very fair on this one. They're 0-2, but here's how they lost. They lost to Miami 27-24. Miami's damn good. And Carson Beck is a heck of a quarterback. So, okay, close game, you lost it. Texas A&M's pretty damn good. They got all the money in the world. They got all the NIL money in the world. They got some great players down there, John, and they do a lot of things right. But they beat them. They beat them 41-40. So they've lost by a grand total of 4 points, and they're 0-2 right now. So I'm not as worried about Notre Dame. And, of course, they come with what they come with when you're Notre Dame. When it gets to the end of the season, if these guys are 9-3 or 10-2, they got a damn good shot at being in the playoffs. So I like that one. But how about this? Vanderbilt is 3-0. Utah is 3-0. And you and I talked about Utah. By the way, I know they've played nobody. I didn't realize nobody included UCLA until I watched UCLA play this past week, John. They stink. And I believe they're 0-3 already. They might be 0-2, but I think they're 0-3. And they just fired the head coach yesterday, I believe. So a lot of things getting shaken up. I think they got issues with their AD at UCLA. I think they got real issues with what was their head coach. They got some real problems at UCLA, but that looked like a great win for Utah. And now all of a sudden Utah is playing nobody. But that quarterback, John, he's a transfer quarterback. He's played so well. He's thrown no interceptions. He looks the part. He's 73% completions. He's got 7 touchdowns, no interceptions, can run the ball pretty well. I still like that Utah team to be somewhere when it's all said and done at the end of the year.
Tell you what, Pete, if you wanted to take a couple 0-2 teams, put Notre Dame against Clemson. Notre Dame wins by 14.
I think so.
I mean, Clemson just looks horrible for a team that was, certainly top 20 and in many people's minds, top 10.
Yeah.
And this is what they do. LSU, they're a good team. Yep. And I loved, Pete, how passionate Kelly was after the game in Baton Rouge, because people were asking him, well, when are you going to get a running game together? And he said, we won the game. The idea is to win the game. We played to win the game. Well, what about that? You're thinking about it all wrong. We played to win the game. And he's right. You played to win the game. I mean, you look at freaking Clemson right now, I don't know what they're planning to do. Like you said, Notre Dame, yeah, they had to come back at the end to make it close against Miami. That wasn't their highlight reel. But freaking Texas A&M, I almost said Baylor. Texas A&M, Notre Dame was beating up on them, but their defense could not stop, except for an interception, Pete. They could not stop them. And yet at the end, they get the shot and they go down the field and beat them. But that Notre Dame team isn't as bad as an 0-2 start, but Clemson is as bad as an 0-2 start, in my opinion.
And we loved Klubnik coming in. He had a good year last year. He was one of the better quarterbacks, obviously, maybe even in line for a potential Heisman. That's probably that book's been closed, I would say.
That ship has failed.
He's going to have to light it up, John, to get even back into that game, because there's some guys out there that look pretty damn good already. And if they continue on, he's not going to be in that top three. But yeah, a lot of fun in college football. It's fun to kind of kick things around. It's really early. It's way too early, but that's what makes it even more fun, is to kind of just chit-chat about that and the NFL as well. So we'll see if some of those different teams change over the next 5-6 weeks now. We won't talk about that part, but we'll certainly be talking more about football for sure.
Well, make sure you tune in again tomorrow at 1, folks. And you still have a couple days left. Friday and Saturday, we're going to be down in Aventura, Florida at the one and only Grant Cardone's headquarters. There he is, right over my shoulder there. It's going to be Grant Cardone, Pete Najarian, Jon Najarian, Mark Lepresti, Ryan Mastro, Brian McCormick, Bill Johnson. I mean, so many folks for 2 days. First day, live trading on the 19th. Second day, we're going to have a lot of education and the way we set ourselves up going into a week before the trade happens. You want to get a little download of that, you can buy that virtual pass now by scanning the QR code, and you get $200 to spend any way you want. You could buy a bunch of merchandise for $200. You could buy education. You could buy subscription. Whatever we have on our website, you get $200 credit to buy it if you buy that virtual pass. We're only going to be talking about it a couple more days, folks, and then it's going to be over, because it's the 19th and 20th down in Aventura, Florida. Goes from like 8 in the morning till I think 4 in the afternoon or so. Make sure you scan the QR code, and then you can join us virtually. Pete, what time are we back tomorrow?
We got a 1 p.m. John Eastern time. We'll be here.
Bang.
Bang.